Hello lovely people, in today's video we're going to be telling you how to become a cycling YouTuber. I'm joined with my good friend and cycling YouTuber extraordinaire, Lawrence Carpenter. Woo! How do you make money on YouTube?
Where do you start?
Take off.
In this video, we're going to tell you a little bit about our story, how we got started, how we made the transition from being a hobby YouTuber to making it our full-time job, and how we are lucky enough to continue doing that. So let's get into the video. First of all, I want to talk about how we each got into it. So over to you, Lawrence. How did you get started on this crazy journey?
Well, we're going a few years back now, aren't we? I think it's about 6 years ago. I feel like I always wanted to find an outlet for me to be creative, but also combine it with my cycling, and I feel like vlogging, making videos just seemed like a perfect fit for that crossover.
I was very similar to you in how I got into it. So I started making videos around trying to chase this pro cycling dream, and it was a great way for me to have a creative outlet. It was great for my cycling sponsors, and it was kind of like this video journal of me kind of trying to do this very exciting adventure for me. So that's actually kind of how we know each other, was from the road cycling world. And then now it's kind of like almost funny. We also, one of our good friends, Francis too.
Yeah.
We've all been friends since before the YouTube days.
Many years before the YouTube days.
Many years, yeah.
We were the best of friends way back in like 2013, 14, 15, before any of us had even picked up a camera.
One of the things that's quite difficult when you're setting out and you're like, okay, I want to be a cycling YouTuber, is how you make that transition from passion project, hobby, into this is your job and this is what you do every day. So do you want to just kind of give us like your story of how you did that?
I did YouTube for about 3 years, very on and off, very much as just, I really enjoy doing this, so I'm just going to get stuck in, be creative, make a video here and there. Kind of, I feel like we got to a point where I was riding for Wiggins Lecole, doing some really big races, and still making videos, but then I kind of thought, do you know what, I need to consider where I want to go in the future, right? So there becomes a point where you're like, okay, so for 2020, okay, I feel like I had to make the decision to be like, right, racing, I love racing, I'll always race to a level to whatever I do, but videos are going to be what I do.
Yes.
And that was the point where it shifted for me, and I put a lot more into my YouTube. And it was really nice because it very quickly felt like it was the right decision.
Yeah, no,
Similar
definitely.
for you as well, right?
Yeah, completely. I mean, part of the reason I started the YouTube channel was because I saw it as an opportunity to document and tell the story of my team, but also women's cycling as a whole, I felt was underrepresented. And the only thing that I could do is create my own hype. So that's kind of how it started. But the first year that I did my YouTube journey, I ended up getting anemia, an illness, having to leave the sport. Initially, like, the YouTube and making videos was an outlet for my spare time, but also it kind of helped me get through all those hard times and actually propelled me to then use it as an opportunity when suddenly cycling wasn't there to support me as a racer. But I'd built up enough of a kind of traction to go, okay, well, let's jump and see where it ends up. It was a natural process from racer to doing it as a full-time job. But I think that it's important for people to know how we actually tangibly did that, in terms of how do we make money, how do we do all these cool trips. And because obviously it's not like you decide you're going to be a full-time YouTuber and then suddenly you make enough money to do it.
There's a lot to
even
it.
When we were racing, we were starting to like maybe have those contracts and stuff like that. So if you could just talk about like how you got your first ever like paid contract or sponsorship contract, and then how you kind of grew it from there.
When you ride for a team, it's very difficult to have personal sponsors, because your team sponsors are your team sponsors, and they're not necessarily going to give you money on top of what they already give the team. So that's always a very difficult dynamic. And as soon as I stopped racing, the freedom was really, really nice, because then it was a blank slate and you could any deal. There was no conflict of interest. The first couple of deals that I had was, Squarespace and all those ones approaching you, and they say, can you do us an integration into your video, 30 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
And I did a few of those, and I always hated them. So that's the start. And I feel like I was very lucky to progress into brands that would pay me to film videos and to represent their brand in a much more natural way. So like a bike brand and a clothing brand and all these things which are a little bit more natural.
I think for me, it was kind of an evolution of doing other freelance work. So from when I was 18, I'd always done like random bits of social media work or modeling. So I got very used to doing one-off jobs and starting to work with brands. So essentially when I started doing YouTube, I would get contracted in, hey Keira, can you do this photo shoot for this brand? But then I would also say, hey, I have this ability to produce content for you as well as this. Can you pay me a little bit extra? And then I will also produce a video which will, one, go on YouTube and get advertising, and two, be content that then the brand could use. When you're being a YouTuber, you have to look at all these different streams of revenue.
Yeah.
That in order to make your living. So for me, when I explain to people, they're like, how do you make money on YouTube? And I'm like, okay, well, some of it is ad revenue, but ad revenue for me personally is a very small part of the whole picture. So you have ad revenue, you have sponsorships. For me, I do quite a bit of production work for brands, so I'm not necessarily in it, but I'm using my skills that I've learned from YouTube to add value to a brand. I do a bit of presenting and modeling stuff ad hoc. That's what it is to be a content creator, As much as my main focus is YouTube, it's the same for you. We also do other bits to kind of make money and make it work.
Ever since I've kind of come out of school, I got straight into working in bike shops and doing social media campaigns, doing newsletters, doing marketing. And I never did any kind of schooling or university or anything like that, but just really natural for me to be working in social media.
Like when we work with brands, really all we're trying to do is work with that brand to solve a problem or to add value to them. And we're in kind of a unique position where, okay, yes, we didn't go to university and we don't have a piece of paper that says we are qualified in something, but we've had a passion for cycling and social media and been in the industry actually a long time, even though we are quite young. Social media has not been around that long, and actually through what we've done over the last 10 years, we've actually become, I guess, mini experts in our really niche little cycling content world. Even before social media, people were getting sponsored by brands without any numbers. So really it's what can you do for that brand that is unique. Basically what I'm saying is a lot of people, they just see it as, oh, I want to be a YouTuber because I want to make loads of money and I want to have free stuff.
But a lot of the time, I don't know if you're the same as me, but you necessarily take the free stuff because along with the free stuff, there's a lot of requirements and you enter into a kind of agreement where you have to return the investment, right? So then there's extra pressure. It's like sometimes it's not worth getting the helmet or the shoes or whatever it is because the work that was required to equal that out is not necessarily worth it sometimes.
And I think that's definitely a unique challenge that we have in our field. For example, if we were personal trainers or if we were bricklayers, it's not expected that you would ever do work for free unless you were an apprentice and you were trying to gain experience. So we have throughout our years definitely done work for free. I've done, especially in the beginning, you have to sometimes see stuff as an opportunity to prove yourself. So like when you're in the early days, you're trying to prove yourself that you can make great content that serves brands. But as you get more and more into it, you can't do stuff for free. And that's how we've been able to make it our profession. So if a company gives you a free product, if they're going to make you do a few Instagram posts, great, that works. That's kind of an equal exchange, especially when you're starting out. But if you're someone who has a lot of followers, you're getting a lot of engagement from your videos, and you're paying a lot of money to go and do cool trips, and you're paying for videographers, for photographers, if then a brand is wanting that but for no money, that's not a fair deal. So it's also just trying to add value to them, but also making sure that it's worth the work that you're going to put in. Is there anything else that you would add in terms of like things you've learned or things that would be useful if you're talking to someone who wants to do or what we do?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's so hard to start out. Everyone asks you that question, isn't it? It's like, where do you start? And it's you just got to get stuck into it. There's no other way, is there? You literally have to just do it. And as you say, even if it is for free, if it's good enough, those opportunities will start coming.
And something to remember too throughout all of it is that if you're having fun doing it, your audience is going to relate to that. If you're making reviews and your heart's not in it, realistically you're not going to keep it up because it's too hard. It's too hard to keep doing it if you're just in it for free stuff, money, whatever. Being a YouTuber, what it's actually meant is that we're able to have this life where we're somewhere between business owners and cyclists, and we're able to do that as our job, which is completely unique compared to most 9-to-5 jobs in an office. Don't get me wrong, we are on our laptops a lot more than people think.
Yeah, where is my laptop?
Yeah.
Need to get my video out.
We do spend a lot of time putting in the graft, but we have the unique opportunity that we get to do some amazing trips, adventures for fun. I mean, just talk about like some of the cool stuff that you've been able to do through YouTube.
Where do I start?
At the beginning, bro.
Being so lucky. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to start my YouTube channel in the first place, because I was being so lucky to be invited to all these things, and I wanted to capture this because, wow, I'm so lucky. Chasing Cancellara was a highlight.
Yeah, awesome. He's a cool dude.
Yeah. But you know, I often find myself pinching myself and thinking, I'm getting paid for this.
Yeah.
This is really cool. But you know, with the highs, of course, comes the lows, right?
Yeah, of course. I think one of the unique things about YouTube, definitely from going from hobby to profession, is that you have to be set up like a business, you have to run it like a business, you have to approach brands like you're a business, and that you're offering a service to them. And I think that's quite a unique mindset, because when you're a cyclist, you are kind of an individual in a team structure, because that's how cycling works. And then when you become a cycling YouTuber, you suddenly become an individual athlete who's running a business. So that's also something that's kind of important to think about in terms of if you want to become a YouTuber and you're looking at it in like 5 years' time, how is it going to go? When we started, we were just uploading randomly. We didn't have a plan. We didn't really know about how to title a video, how to do a thumbnail, how the algorithm worked. And those are things that we could talk about for hours, but those are things you're going to have to consider as you get more and more into it. So I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
If you were to go back to the start of this whole cycling YouTuber journey and you were there at the beginning asking, how do I become a cycling YouTuber? What would you tell yourself now?
So I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so I feel like that got in the way hugely of so much of my videos and so much of my content, where I was like, it's not up to my level, I'm not going to post it. And I feel like if you did lower your barrier slightly, I feel like I would have been able to do a lot more.
Another thing I would say is also, for me personally, is like planning out what videos you're going to do. That's something that is a weakness for me just in general. But when it comes to making consistent content and not getting burnt out, you have to have process goals. So if the goal is to get one video out a week, it doesn't matter what the video is or if it's any good, you've committed to doing one video a week. So just trying to not have crazy unrealistic goals, obviously, but just trying to stick to like a bit more of a schedule and just letting go of it being perfect and just going like, okay, it's done is better than perfect. So I know we've spoken about a lot of things in this video, but if I was to summarize kind of everything that we've spoken about, when you're taking your first steps into being a YouTuber, you need to make sure that whatever niche you choose, whether that be cycling, whether that be lifestyle stuff, whether that be, I don't know,
Running.
You don't have to be an expert. You don't, just be yourself and talk about a topic that you love, or for us it's kind of cycling or endurance sports. As you get better at it, make sure you're charging for it if you're doing a professional job, because you can't be a professional if you're not getting paid to do the work. And that's it. If there's any more questions that you have, I'm sure you do, leave them in the comments down below and we'll do our best to answer them. And also, be sure to go and check out Lawrence's channel. He's been doing loads of cool bike packing stuff. What else have you been doing?
Gravel racing.
Badlands, I saw.
Badlands.
Basically mental endurance cycling things that are way too hard for me to even consider. I will leave a link down below for that. But yeah, it's been lovely to talk to you. Thank you so much for helping me make this video.
Thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe. Keep risking it for a biscuit. And love ya. Do you know the outro?
Boop. Boop.
Boop.